right. There we go. Now we are recording. So that first slide was there for anyone who, if English is not your first language, this is a English language presentation, and we do want to make sure that you're aware of some of those features. It's not perfect, but closed captioning in another language sometimes can support comprehension. Other things that we wanted to talk about before we get started is those basic norms. For workshops, it's really helpful if everyone is muted and camera off as well. I'm going to also turn my camera off in just a minute here so that we can just focus on our speaker and her slides. That said, we're not going to keep you silent the whole time. We do want you to feel free to ask questions. And Kelly and I did talk about that a little bit. So we'll do some periodic breaks, and then also know at the end we'll stop recording. And then you can certainly feel more comfortable to come off camera and unmute, and we'll do questions at the end as well. I have one more slide. Speaking of questions, so we can use the chat feature for those questions, and I'll read them off, or you can unmute. The other thing, if you have any questions, maybe not related to Maryland ABLE that are directed for Kelly, please know that our office, Family Support, is always here for you. And there's multiple ways to reach us. The QR code, you can fill out a contact form and we'll get back in touch with you. But I also have up there our phone number and our email. And let's see. Great. Thank you. All right. Just making sure we have someone admitting our guests. Now, let me tell you, without further ado, Kelly, I will go ahead and turn my camera off, and I'm going to stop sharing. And then while we do that, I'm going to tell you about Kelly Nelson. Stop sharing. So Kelly has worked in the field of disabilities for more than 30 years. As a parent of a child with disabilities, she is passionate about helping her daughter become a confident self-advocate as she pursues her goal of working towards living independently in the community. As an outreach and communications manager for Maryland ABLE, she's delighted to have the opportunity to connect with many people with disabilities and their families and staff who support them throughout the state of Maryland as she travels around educating people about the benefits of this account. We're going to learn about it today as well. So Kelly, thank you so much. We are pleased to have you back again, and I will mute myself and let you take over.
Thank you so much, Ramsey and Kenya, and to the rest of the fabulous Family Support Services team for having me back today to share with you information about ABLE accounts and how that relates to future and financial planning for our children and students with disabilities. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and I'm going to turn my camera off so we can go full screen here. But as Ramsey said, in addition to working with Maryland ABLE over the last 7 years now, I also have some practical real life experience with an ABLE account as I opened an ABLE account for my daughter when she was 14. That's been about 7, 8 years ago now. And it's really given me and her dad a way to plan for her future, prepare for a time when, we may no longer be here, and have an ability to make sure she has all of her services and benefits, as well as money to be able to live the life that we want her to have. Also, it's given us this opportunity to see how an ABLE account has really helped her to grow in her self-confidence, her independence, and even more importantly, like understanding of financial literacy skills. So we're going to talk about all these things today. I'm going to weave them in throughout the presentation. But just so you know, my goal today is to give you an overview of the Maryland ABLE program. We're going to talk about the legislation that makes ABLE accounts possible and all the eligibility requirement and regulations for these programs, as well as then focusing on some of the features that we have here in Maryland and how they can be really useful in helping us as we guide our kids along through their future. So let's go ahead and get started by taking a look at what are ABLE accounts. So ABLE accounts are a way for a person with a disability and their family members to be able to save money without jeopardizing those critical means-tested benefits. Benefits such as SSI or Medicaid or any types of waivers. We've heard of waivers like the autism waiver. We've heard of things like housing assistance, energy assistance, food assistance. These are all Medicaid waivers. So the reason ABLE accounts came to be in the first place is that people with disabilities who were receiving means-tested benefits like SSI or Medicaid were only able to save or have up to $2,000 in total assets, meaning between a checking account or a savings account, could not exceed $2,000, which was a real problem because you can't save and plan for the future with money in your own name if you can't have more than 2,000. And it was actually even worse than that because people were being forced to spend down their money just to maintain those benefits. So it was creating a cycle of poverty for people with disabilities. Thanks to advocacy efforts from families, people with disability, advocacy groups across the nation. It took about 10 years, but thanks to the leadership of one particular parent, Stephen Beck Jr., he was able to see this all the way through to the federal level, where President Obama in 2014 signed into law the Stephen Beck Jr. Achieving a Better Life Experience Act. That's what we call the ABLE Act. And it made it possible for the first time for states to open up ABLE programs and offer ABLE accounts that now made it possible for folks to be able to save up to $100,000 in their ABLE account and still maintain Social Security SSI benefits, Medicaid, SNAP, food, energy, housing assistance, all those waivers, right? So when this happened, it gave states across the nation the opportunity to do it. It took some time to get these programs up and running. Here in Maryland, Governor Hogan signed our ABLE Act into law in 2016. We launched in 2017, and I'm happy to say later this month we will be celebrating our 8th anniversary here in Maryland. We have a little over 8,000 Maryland ABLE account holders who over the last 8 years have together been able to save over $131 million in assets. So this is pretty amazing stuff for a group of folks who were once only limited to having $2,000. We are facilitated under the Maryland State Treasurer's Office, and we are just one of 47 programs now. I like to share this because I want y'all to know that the regulations and eligibility for ABLE accounts across the country are all the same. They're within the Internal Revenue Code, Section 529A. Y'all might be familiar with Section 529. Those are our 529 accounts, right, that have been out there for 20 years where people could save for education, right? So we are sisters, if you will, within those regulations. I like to point that out because some of the stuff we're going to talk about in the presentation will be applicable to programs nationwide, but then there'll be a few things that we're going to talk about that are state specific, things that we have here in Maryland that maybe some of the other state programs have something different. So the main reasons why people are interested in opening ABLE accounts is the reason that I opened up the presentation with, that problem of not being able to save more than $2,000 or have more than $2,000 in assets before losing those SSI and Medicaid and waiver benefits. So this is the opportunity to save up to $100,000 and still maintain that, all those benefits. The other one is that You don't have to pay any federal or state taxes on the earnings for money within an ABLE account. As long as when the money is withdrawn, it's being spent on qualified disability expenses, which is extremely broad definition, including anything that's going to support your son or daughter in their health, independence, or quality of life. We'll talk more in detail about how you can use the money. Also, we here in Maryland, and this is something specific to Maryland, we have access to a Maryland state income subtraction for contributions that you make to your child's ABLE account. So up to $2,500 if parents are married and filing joint returns, they can claim a $5,000 income subtraction for contributions that they're making to their child's ABLE account. So it's a wonderful incentive for us to be able to save money for their future, as well as save money for big expenses that they may be facing now, such as orthodontics. I know if anyone's had to put braces on their child, they know we're staring down about $5,000 worth of expenses. So it really is helpful. Also, ABLE accounts are really intended to be opened online. We do have a paper application, but we really encourage everyone to use the online method because it takes about 15 minutes and it's really easy to do. This is a big change for families who have experienced that process of trying to apply for DDA and different waivers, or even maybe you've already had to apply for Social Security benefits, and you know these are very lengthy applications. So you'll be happy to note that you can open an ABLE account in about 15 minutes online. And once you do so, this is the other reason that people really like this, you have easy access to your funds. It's all an electronic line account management, and it's easy to make contributions and take those withdrawals. Okay. Let's look a little bit into the eligibility for who can have an ABLE account. And we're going to talk about this eligibility being in effect until the end of this year, and then we're going to see a change come. But currently, in order to qualify for an ABLE account, your child would have had to have developed a disability prior to the age of 26. So since you're here with me with Baltimore County Public Schools, we know that your child is under the age of 26, right? So we've got that figured out. The second part is they had to have a disability diagnosis that meets the Social Security definition, meaning it's something that's going to be present with them throughout their lifetime, and that it is going to have a significant enough impact on their ability to learn, work consistently over their lifetime, or live independently. So we would be able to know if they qualify for an ABLE account by answering one of three questions upon enrollment. They would want to know, is your son or daughter currently receiving SSI benefits? If so, you would check there. If they're receiving SSDI benefits, you could check that block. Or maybe you have a child that's under 18 and you've tried applying for these benefits, but you were denied because Social Security Administration was examining the whole family's income. And that put you over that threshold. Maybe your child does have that qualifying disability, but they're not able to receive benefits until they turn 18, when they would apply again. And then Social Security Administration is going to examine only their income. So they're not looking at mom and dad's income anymore. They're just going to be looking at your 18-year-old son or daughter's income, and they would qualify. So that's how you would know if you qualify for an ABLE account. Now, starting January the 1st, and this really isn't going to be so applicable to the folks that are, our kids right now, but anyone that had a disability with an onset before the age of 46 will then be eligible starting January 1st, thanks to the Able Age Adjustment Act, which is going to make this available to a lot of people with later onset, veterans, adults with traumatic brain injuries, Lou Gehrig's disease, MS. So a lot of other people will be able to benefit from ABLE in the future. It's also important to look at who owns the ABLE account, and this is really important. It is always the person with the disability that is both the owner of the ABLE account as well as the beneficiary. Now, if you have a student who's under the age of 18 and you're interested in opening an ABLE account, We recognize that they're not going to be able to manage the account on their own because they're a minor. So, what we have in the ABLE space is somebody that will serve as the authorized legal representative. This is usually for a child, it would be a parent, a grandparent, or a guardian, right? But once your child turns 18, if they are able to manage their own finances, you could go ahead and step back in that role, and they would be able to do that if they wanted to or need or could. Just so you know, out of our over 8,000 Maryland Able account holders, I would say about 80% of them have an authorized legal representative, an ALR, a person that's just helping them to manage the account. And we have about 20% of our account holders who are able to manage it completely on their own. So it really is on an individual basis. So if you're wondering who would qualify to serve in that capacity of helping them to manage the ABLE account, it could be anyone. If, you know, again, if they're a child, it's going to be their parent or guardian, but after they turn 18, they could appoint someone to be that person for them. But let's just say you have a student who is maybe not able to sign consent for someone to be appointed as a power of attorney. It could be their guardian. It could be a parent or a sibling or someone serving as representative payee. Okay. Of course, it says it here a spouse, but I'm assuming that none of your kids are married yet. So we'll go ahead and leave that for another time. Ramsey, let's do a little pause here and see if we have any questions about eligibility or, the main benefits of having an ABLE account.
Sure. So there are no questions in the chat, but like we said at the beginning, this is also a moment you might feel free to unmute and ask a question.
Okay. All right.
It's a reference to something that I'm sorry. Is it okay if I ask my question?
Yeah, absolutely. I wasn't sure though. Yeah.
I realized you said raise your hand. That's why I stopped.
It's okay. No, just unmute. We have a small group, just 10 people here today.
If do you have to have them eligible for disability through SSI, or is it paperwork? I guess I'm still trying to figure it out. My son is still young right now, but I've heard that it's easier for them to get disability while they're still a child. I just don't know, is that needed once they turn over 18 for the ABLE account as well?
Okay, that is a wonderful question. And it's great because people need to understand that while the disability that they have is a diagnosis, that has to sort of meet the Social Security's definition of a disability, meaning it's not like, they were in a car accident, they broke their leg, and they have a temporary disability, but it would be something that would be present with them throughout their life and be a more significant impact on their life. But they don't currently have to be receiving SSI or SSDI. They may be like in my daughter's case. When she was 14, we opened the ABLE account for her. She was born with a brain injury. So we already knew that she had a disability that was going to be present with her throughout her life. But we couldn't receive any SSI benefits for her because mom and dad were working. And if mom and dad are working, chances are the combined family income would be higher than Social Security's threshold. And they would be like, nah, she's not, your child's not eligible right now because mom and dad are working and you can take care of everything.
Okay, thank you. And the paperwork for just to follow up on her question, just sharing, I would assume the whole eligibility process for the IEP that every parent here has, that you will have within it a lot of assessments. Is that the kinds of things that you need to share when you do? Oop, Kelly, are you there? I have no sound. I'm going to turn myself.
I can't hear her talking either.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Kelly, I see that you are here, but for some reason we've lost your audio. Oh. We'll give it a minute. Let's see if she's... Sorry about that, folks. Thank you. Okay, so now that she's not presenting, my assumption is she's leaving and coming back, and we'll see if this works for her. This is our second time that we've had Kelly presented on the ABLE account last year, and yeah, I've been learning myself about this. It's a pretty incredible opportunity. Here we go. She's joining.
Can you hear me now?
Yay, welcome back. Ta-da!
Okay, great. All right, sorry about that, guys. I do not know why that happens sometimes with my state-issued device, but let's hope it stays with us for the rest of the time. Okay, let me see if I can go ahead and get that slide deck back up here.
Okay.
All right. All right. Okay, how's that, guys? Can you see that? Okay.
Yep.
All right, wonderful. So what I was saying while you couldn't hear me is that when a person is in that enrollment process, it's going to ask the person opening the account, that would be the parent. They would want them to self-attest that their child had a disability. So let's just say you have a very young child, and right now they have a developmental disability, and you don't know exactly, where that's going to go. Is that something that they're going to catch up and everything's going to be good? Or if it's going to be a permanent learning disability, the parent would just self-attest that the child has the disability. And as Ramsey was saying, there's a lot of documentation within your IEP or your IFSP for your child that shows why they are receiving services. So don't worry about the fact if they haven't actually received SSI benefits, because they may not start receiving them until they're 18. Because if mom and dad are working, oftentimes what happens is they may have a disability that qualifies them, but mom and dad's household income is too high, and they don't get those services. So you would just be able to self-attest that they have a disability and then select the disability from a drop-down menu that'll be available in the enrollment process. I hope that answers the question. If not, you can ask me to expand upon it further.
And there's one SSI specific question, and then we'll move on and break for more questions. That was just that Patricia shared that they were denied, and it was the recommendation to reapply.
Yes, especially at age 18, because once they apply at 18, Social Security Administration only examines your adult child's income at that time. Mom and dad's don't count anymore, and that's when they're usually found eligible.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And we still have more questions coming in, so we want to let's see what these are. We have a person who's raised her hand. Chantel, do you want to go? Oh, and there's
Hi.
Go ahead.
Sorry, very specific question. Kind of embarrassed to say I started the ABLE account a long time ago, and I never finished setting it up. So what I would like to finish setting it up, when I log in, because I am able to log in
Good. Okay.
to the website, but then the website looks completely blank. And when I click on profile or dashboard, nothing comes up. And I wasn't sure whether it was something going on with the website or because I never finished, signing up. I don't know if you know the answer.
If it's been a while since you started opening the account, it probably sort of got abandoned in the middle of the setup. So my recommendation to you is to call our customer support team at 855-563-2253. And I'll repeat that. It's 855-563-2253. They're open from Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. until 8 p.m. And they're the folks that can help you through that setup issue. As the outreach and communication manager, I don't have direct access to anybody's actual accounts, but there is a team available that can help people through any technical glitches, or, if you forget how to do something, they can help you. So they're likely going to ask you to verify your identity. I don't know if you've already set up like a linked bank account and all that. It sounds like you probably haven't. So
I think that was the last part I needed to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can just tell them how long it's been and what you're seeing on your screen, and that you think you still have to add the link bank account. And they're going to be able to help you with that.
Thanks.
Okay.
One last, could you repeat that question, the phone number one more time, and I'll put it in the chat for everybody.
Sure, that would be great. 855-563-2253.
Thank you.
Yes. So let's take a look at a little bit we need to know about contributions to an ABLE account. Whenever someone opens an ABLE account, they're going to ask you to make an initial contribution to the ABLE account. This is not going to be a fee. This is going to be the person's money. It would be a $25 initial deposit to get the account open and funded. Okay, so it sounds like the mom that was just sharing with us, it sounds like maybe she started that enrollment process, but maybe didn't link a bank account to make that deposit to get the account up and running. So that's what it's going to ask you to do. After that, you don't have any requirement as to when you make contributions. You'll be able to make them whenever you want. You could log in a couple times a year. You could set up a monthly contribution. It doesn't matter. It'll be totally up to you, as long as those next contributions that you make are a minimum of $5. The important thing I want you to kind of remember from this presentation is we have here with all ABLE programs nationwide something that we call the standard annual contribution limit. This means that for this year, it's $19,000, and that you can contribute up to $19,000 this calendar year. Starting January 1st, it's a brand new calendar year, and this annual contribution limit has a reset on it. And it's actually going to increase to $20,000 next year. So for those who have an ABLE account now, they can continue to put contributions into the account up to $19,000. January 1 is going to come along. They're going to reset that, and they could put up to $20,000 in the ABLE account. Remembering that the ABLE account balance can continue to grow past 19 and 20,000, but your contributions for a calendar year are limited. I'm not going to talk too much about able to work contributions, because I don't believe that the majority of the folks have a student right now that's working. But if you do in the future have a child that's working and has an ABLE account, they can contribute above and beyond that standard annual contribution limit. As long as they code it able to work, that would meaning that they're employed, they're making money and have an ABLE account. They want to put money into their ABLE account, and their boss is not contributing, or their employer is not contributing to a retirement account like a 401k or something for them, and they'd be able to put additional money in the ABLE account up to $15,060, which will increase next year as well. So, but more importantly, I want you to remember the next big number is the $100,000 ABLE account balance. So over the years, let's just say you have an ABLE account, year after year, you're putting contributions in, the balance is growing, and lo and behold, at some point in your experience, you may have $100,000 balance in your ABLE account. I hope we all have this trouble, actually. It would be a wonderful problem to have. But anyway, after $100,000, what would happen is Social Security would push a pause button on their monthly SSI cash benefits. It would be suspended. However, Medicaid, health insurance, and all waivers that they're receiving would remain in place. And at any point, somebody were to spend some money down from the ABLE account and it would fall below the $100,000 balance, Social Security Administration can automatically reactivate your monthly SSI cash benefit because you were never disenrolled. So there's the big difference with trying to save money in an ABLE account and in a regular checking or savings or investment account. Money in a regular bank account can never exceed more than $2,000, or they immediately lose their Medicaid and their waivers. And after a period of time, I think Social Security gives you about 9 months to spend it down. If it doesn't happen within that period, Social Security would disenroll your adult child or your child, okay? So that's why ABLE accounts exist, as a way to be able to save money in your child's name. All right. We're going to skip over able to work, but certainly if you have a student that's working and you want to learn more about that, reach out to me. One of the things I do want to make sure everybody knows is that the ABLE Financial Planning Act is a really helpful thing for those of you who may have opened a 529 account. Planning for your college, your child's college education or other educational needs. And as it turns out, maybe college isn't in their pathway. You would be able to roll over with no penalties or fees money from a 529 account into an ABLE account, which would then expand how you can use that money. So money within a 529 account can be for education, trade schools, education related things, but money being moved to an ABLE account can now be used for anything at all that supports your student in their health, independence, or quality of life. Okay. We'll talk more about that in a bit. This is still subject to that maximum standard annual contribution amount, which for this year is $19,000. So grandma opened a 529 account and there's $20,000 in there, and grandma could roll over $19,000 if you just opened up an ABLE account, and then she could roll the next $1,000 over next year. Without going too far into the weeds, in the interest of time, I'm going to just share a brief overview that money within an ABLE account, you have the option of either saving that money in a cash savings option, an FDIC insured interest-bearing account, tax-free, or you could also choose one of our 4 investment options. These are all investment portfolios created specifically for Maryland ABLE that was developed by Vanguard and managed by Vanguard. So either way you want to do it, you can save or you can invest or you can do a combination of both. And any interest or earnings is all tax-free, federal and state tax-free, okay? The account itself, the ABLE account, does have an annual account maintenance fee. This is $35 for the year. It is assessed quarterly at $8.75. But for example, someone who opened their account yesterday is not going to pay $35 a year because it's prorated, and they're only going to be paying for the last, month and a half of the year. All right. So it's an account maintenance fee that goes to our partners, which is the Bank of New York Mellon, and Vestwell, which is the financial technology company that operates our website, runs the back end banking pieces, transferring money in and out of ABLE, sending checks when necessary, sending money off to Vanguard for your investment options. So some people say, why do we have to have a fee at all? And that's a good question. This is a tax-free savings account intended for people with disability. Maryland has some of the lowest fees in the country, and we try to keep them as low as possible. We are managed and facilitated under the state treasurer's office, but do remember that the state treasurer's office is not a bank. It's a government agency, right? And we need to partner with financial institutions that will do that banking for us. And For that, you get your customer support team Monday through Friday and the website. So that is what that amount covers. All right. Let's talk about what people who can contribute to Enable account, which is one of my favorite things to talk about, because the good news is it is literally anybody. It could be your son or daughter themselves making contributions, your other family members, friends in the future, employers can make contributions. Oh my goodness, this one here, benefits from back payments. Oh my goodness. So for those of you who have already applied for SSI and were denied, and you're going to wait until your child turns 18 and you're going to do it on your child's 18th birthday or the day after, it's important. You want to do it as soon as possible, because they will back pay you your child's benefits from the time that you apply. So sometimes what happens is it takes 9 months, a year, 2 years, sometimes even longer for folks to receive their benefits. My daughter was so fortunate. She was on the 2-year plan waiting for her benefits to be approved, even though she was born with a brain injury. So you can see sometimes it takes a long time. And they have back payments that can be very large amounts. We're talking $4, $5, $8, $10, $12,000 sometimes, depending upon how long it takes to get those benefits. Well, to no fault of your own or your child's fault, they're already over that $2,000 asset limit, aren't they? And they'll give you 9 months to spend down that $10,000 or whatever, which a lot of times that puts you back in that same situation of creating that cycle of poverty. Can't save for anything, you got to spend it down. But with an ABLE account, you can put those Social Security back payments into an ABLE account and then have it there for when they need it. Use some now, use some next month, next 10 years, whatever. Money inside of that ABLE account cannot be counted by Social Security against their benefits. And we've already talked about rollovers from college savings plans, small inheritances. Great Uncle Lou passes away and leaves a $5,000 life insurance policy to your child, unbeknownst to you, right? Well, you can put that $5,000 into an ABLE account. Let's go ahead and take it. Well, let's do any questions about contributions first and contribution limits, because we did cover a lot there. Any questions about contribution limits or amounts or who can contribute?
None in the chat. But again, feel free.
Okay.
Patricia did have a question, and I'm sorry, Patricia, it was very specific to something that Kelly was saying, which is now 5 minutes ago, but if you wanted to ask it now, or we can do it again at the end. Didn't want it to get. No. Okay. I think we're good to move on.
Okay, great. Well, let's take a look at how we access the money in the ABLE account. And this is all going to be set up at the time of enrollment. So when you enroll in an ABLE account, I do want to point out that one of the first questions it's going to ask you in that process is, are you opening this account for yourself or on behalf of someone else? As a parent, whether they're under the age of 18 or over, you want to you want to check the box that says, I'm opening it on behalf of someone else, because it's only the person with the disability that qualifies to be the owner of the ABLE account. So after you click that button that says I'm opening it on behalf of someone else, you're going to select their disability and then from a drop-down menu, and then it's going to take you to the point where you're going to set up a linked bank account. This bank account can be with an existing bank account of your choice. It could be a federal bank, a national bank, a state bank, a savings and loan, a local bank. It doesn't matter. When I opened my daughter's ABLE account, she was only 14. So, she didn't have a checking account or anything like that, and she wasn't receiving benefits. So I linked it to mom and dad's regular Bank of America checking account, because we were the ones that were going to be making contributions to her ABLE account. We were going to take withdrawals from her ABLE and pay for things like her braces and her summer camps. So we just picked the most convenient thing for us to use, which is our regular checking account, because it was in mine and my husband's name. I was the account ALR managing the account, so I was able to link that account. Fast forward years later, she started receiving SSI benefits. She has a rep payee account where her benefits go. I was able to log into my ABLE account and add that bank account as a linked bank account. So that way I could every month log into her ABLE account and electronically transfer money from her rep payee account into the ABLE account. Because remember, money coming in through Social Security SSI benefits, it itself cannot accumulate above $2,000. So anytime my daughter gets anywhere remotely near even $1,000 in her rep payee account, I just log in and electronically transfer from her linked bank account, Social Security, into her ABLE account. And whenever she needs it, I can withdraw it to pay for expenses. So that's how you access money in the ABLE account. That's the main way. There's no additional fee for that. However, I do want to share with you that there is an additional way, and that's our prepaid card, which is what I'm going to talk about in a few minutes. But before I do that, let's take a look at these qualified disability expenses, how you can use the money in an ABLE account. So if you were to look in our regulations, it would say that ABLE funds can be used for the person with a disability for anything that's going to support them in their health, their independence, or their quality of life. It's a very broad definition. So some people don't like that kind of a definition. They want more of a, can you give me a list of 5,002 things I can use it for? But they didn't do that. What they did do, however, is just provide you with some basic categories as just to give you guys ideas. This is not an all-inclusive list by any means, but we'll take a look at a few. Health, prevention, and wellness. You're probably thinking, okay, that's like prescriptions, maybe doctor copays or hospitalizations. But wellness is part of that, and that includes so much more. It could be therapeutic horseback riding. It could be a gym membership. It could be swimming lessons. It could be yoga classes. I mean, anything that supports them in their wellness, okay? Transportation. So if you have a child who has a physical disability and you need an adaptive vehicle, you can use the ABLE account to purchase that adaptive van, maintain that van for the transportation, the oil changes, tires, all that kind of stuff. Basic living expenses are things like clothing, utilities, food, assistive technology. Well, that could be a screen reader if they have a visual disability, if they're blind. It could be laptops, iPads, but it can also be a cell phone and that monthly cell phone service. Okay, so these are just a few examples. I'm not going to go through the whole list, but this might be a good place to kind of pop in here and see if you do have any questions as to how you can use the money for the ABLE account. And while you guys are thinking about that, I'm just going to let you know that the best practice for using ABLE account money is just to maintain your documentation of how it's used, because you'll never have to call Maryland ABLE and say, hey, Kelly, can I use my ABLE funds to buy new sneakers or this new sports uniform for my son? It won't be up to me. It'll be up to who's ever managing that account. But you won't have to turn in documentation to us, but you would want to maintain it in case your child in the future is ever audited by the IRS when they're working. They would want to make sure that the money in the account is being spent on your adult child or your child with a disability.
That's really exciting to see this, Kelly. I mean, just thinking about the wellness aspects and the assistive technology. I don't see any questions there, but if you don't mind, I did back to contribution questions.
Yeah.
Patricia, actually, her audio wasn't working, so she asked that I do read those out. So there were two. One was, can it be linked to a credit union account? I assume.
Yes.
Right.
99% of the time, all banks can link to the ABLE account. I think there is like one or two random, not very large credit unions, but every once in a while there'll be a glitch because on their end, they won't allow it. But on ABLE's end, any bank can do that. So.
Okay. And the other was, is it possible to roll over from Coverdell's? And I wasn't even familiar myself with Coverdell's, but that's looks to be another kind of account.
It might be
Revenue.
like
Yeah.
Education account. If it's a 529 account, I know that 529, if it's a 529 account, it's coded as a 529 account, it can be rolled over. But if it's a different type of education account, I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it. And so, Patricia, I know you don't have audio. Oh, she wrote in, it is a 529 account. So the answer then will be yes. Okay, great. Thank you.
And you would want to initiate that rollover with Coverdale. So,
Okay.
say that you want to have it rolled over. Okay. All right. So I know we're getting there on our time, and there's a
Yeah.
couple of things that I am so excited to share with you. I want to make sure we have time for this. One thing that comes with all ABLE accounts is a gifting page, and I love this feature because it really helps families who are saving for a specific goal or need to be able to use this gifting page. You can send a link via text, email, or messenger to family or friends around the holidays or special occasions or birthdays, graduations, whatever. And they'll receive this link just for example, by text. It'll say, would you like to make a contribution to Ramsey's ABLE account? And I would be able to put in the amount, where I'm sending it from, and hit send, and it will go directly into Ramsey's ABLE account. Doesn't pass through any other accounts that may be counted as a resource by Social Security. And then that money can be used for whatever it is that the need is. Is it braces? Is it, in my case, my daughter uses this faithfully. She loves to go to this Camp Fairley overnight week-long camp. It's very expensive. I mean, it's amazing, but they have a lot of support, nursing support, all kinds of support. It can be expensive. So she says, that's what I want. I want that for my holiday presents. I want that for my birthday presents. I really want to go there. So every year we use $2,000 to send her to the Camp Fairley. And it's because a lot of people are making contributions. So much so, I want to share with you that 762 Maryland ABLE account owners over the last almost 8 years now have been actively using this gift page and have received over $5.1 million in gifts over the last 8 years. So people are definitely on board with this. The other thing I want to share with you is our prepaid card option. This is a really easy and convenient way to access money in your ABLE account. It is an additional fee to have it. It's $1.25 per month. It doesn't matter if you use it one time, no times, or a million times. It's a flat fee of $1.25 a month. But what I love about it is when I'm out getting things from my daughter, instead of me, going into her ABLE account, transferring money back into my checking account, I just use this ABLE prepaid card and I pay for everything that she needs, that way. So if I'm registering her for, a pottery class at the, local rec or whatever, I can use that prepaid card. More importantly, this has been a wonderful tool for her to learn about financial literacy skills. With an ABLE prepaid card, you load money onto the card. It doesn't give you access to all the funds. So it was a really good way for me to start teaching her about budgeting. She really doesn't know it's budgeting that she's learning per se, but she knows that she has a certain amount of money on that card and that she gets to make choices of how it's spent during the month. And sometimes things that she has to make decisions that are really hard decisions for her. Do I want to get this, what I think I want right now? Or I was saving up to go to, Amazing Glaze, and that's going to cost me like $40. Am I going to have money for it? So really helpful financial literacy tool, and it keeps track of all your expenditures. So something to think about. Also, for those who are interested, we do direct deposit for payroll. It could be from the ALR making payroll contributions. We also have the ability to do direct deposit of funds from Social Security into ABLE. Another thing we have is the mobile app, which makes it really easy for you to be able to manage the ABLE account from your mobile device. Okay, so you can log in anytime, check your balance, load your prepaid card, whatever you need to do. And also an automatic savings option, which has also been a good financial literacy tool. For as little as $1, you can enroll in this voluntary program if you want. Ours is called Weather Boosters. And here, anytime we have a 50% more chance of precipitation in our zip code, it automatically pulls $1 from my linked checking account. And I started with $1 for a reason. I was trying to show my daughter that saving even a little bit at a time really adds up. So I can't wait until the end of this year to find out how much came in from this automatic contribution. She was very excited every time it was raining or snowing. So she knew she was getting extra money in her ABLE account. So that's another great way to sort of teach those skills. We talked about the mobile app. Very easy to manage your account online and on the computer. The Maryland ABLE tax incentives. Again, let me remind you of this. Any money you're putting into your child's ABLE account, you can qualify for an income subtraction on your Maryland state taxes up to $2,500 per person. So married and filing joint is $5,000. And remember, as parents, we're already paying for everything for our child anyway. We're paying for the braces and the doctor's visits and the new shoes and all the stuff that they're doing. To me, it just made a lot of sense to go ahead and put that money into the ABLE account. We can lower our taxable income up to $5,000 a year. And then we turn around and use that money to pay for everything that we were already paying for. So just something to think about there. We have come to the end of the actual information I'm going to share with you. This is a sort of recap slide, and I want you to know that you can always reach out with additional questions. But I did want to on this slide deck, and if I didn't already, I'm going to send this to Ramsey so that you'll have it. We have additional resources here. ABLE Today is a great organization that offers lots of visuals and archived webinars about ABLE programs nationwide. Social Security, people say, are you sure this is legit? Well, I'm going to give you a copy of their procedure and operations manual that talks about ABLE accounts. So everything that you will know is here. SNAP benefits. Are you sure I'm not going to lose my SNAP benefits? Here's the Federal Register for that, so that you know that that they do know about ABLE accounts. And finally, this is our customer support number and our website. I do encourage you to just check out our website. Frequently asked questions are there, real helpful. Anytime you're interested in opening an ABLE account, you're going to do it directly from our website. And I encourage you to type in the URL www.marylandable.org, because people sometimes Google Maryland ABLE, and what pops up is something that says ABLE Now in Maryland. And they open an account only to later learn that they're with ABLE Now, which is Virginia's program, and they don't qualify for the income subtractions, and their features are different. So we just want you to be with the program of your choice. Also, consider following us on social media because we try to keep our page very active, letting you know where we'll be in the community. Every time Ramsey invites us to come to one of those wonderful resource fairs that Family Support coordinates, you'll know we're going to be there, because we like to share that information. And, and finally, I just want to say thank you for giving me this opportunity. And I'm around for the next couple minutes to answer any other questions.
Yeah, thank you, Kelly Nelson. This is such a lot of information. I heard some pen and paper scratches, and Chantel, please feel free to unmute. There's one hand raised. We have 5 minutes, but if we go a little bit over, it'd be okay.
Hi, I have 2 questions. One is, with using the prepaid card, do you end up being able to see like a statement for what the money was used for? I'm just trying to figure out the best way to try to keep track of how it was spent. And that would be an easy way if there's a statement that
it is nice. They do offer statements. You can also, view it online as well. So you can keep it all online and print it out if you want to have a paper statement. They don't mail you paper statements, but you can print it. Also, TrueLink that hosts or sponsors our card. That's the organization that makes that available to us and pays the merchants and does all that stuff. They also have an app. It's called the TrueLink app, and that's where you would be able to manage your Maryland ABLE prepaid card. So you can literally look at it from your phone daily, how much money is left on the card, and it runs a little report. You can click on a thing that says expense, withdrawal report, and it'll show you like the merchant. It'll put it in little categories. Was it entertainment? Was it food? Was it medical?
Yeah, that's a great question, Chantel. I was wondering about that too when Kelly, you were saying it's important to keep your own records in case you are audited. And that seems like a
Yeah.
good way to do that.
That's true. That's a good point. And also, they they also offer a feature where you can scan your receipts into the TrueLink app. Now, I'm 59 years old. I don't scan anything. I'm a paper girl. I have a folder. It says Maryland Able 2025, and anything I use, I just throw those receipts in there. I have a file folder for every year. In the future, if Lily ever gets audited for an IRS audit, wants to see how the money was spent, I'm going to give them however many folders I have with those receipts, and they can have a good old time looking at those.
We have Tracy has a question. Go ahead. Tracy, if you are, you're still on mute. We can't hear you. I was laughing, Kelly, because you need the paper.
I need the paper.
I'm in that generation. I do a little bit of both, but I do like
A little bit, yeah, me
scratching
too.
notes on paper.
Can I ask a second question?
Yeah.
Thanks. My other question is with the tax incentives, does it make a difference how you contribute to it, whether it's like direct payroll versus you just transfer money in from your bank account?
Yep, you can transfer from your bank account, do direct deposit. Anybody that makes gift contributions using the gift page, they too can claim that as an income subtraction. So my sister,
Okay,
my
so
brother,
whatever,
they love it. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
so whatever amount they contribute up to $2,500 per person.
Yes.
Okay. And then Tracy, I guess the hand was lowered. Oh, someone is hopping in now. I did want to say, if you weren't looking at the chat, I meant to say, we absolutely, as soon as this is finished, I'm going to go back to the email and attach your presentation. So all of those additional resources on the last slide will be there, as well as, the whole presentation. So I will definitely email that to the group.
And Ramsey, I'm going to add also to that a link to, I'm going to send you the Maryland Able brochure, which highlights everything I talked about in like 2 pages, which is really good. And also, if there's time for like just a show of hands or anything, I was wondering how many of you, in addition to learning about this ABLE presentation today from the communications from your family support department, how many of you have heard about ABLE accounts from an IEP meeting?
Oh, that's a great question.
If there's anybody that could put their hand up, if you have, just let me know.
There's
Okay,
one hand up. Yeah.
Okay, great. Awesome.
And I can say also just anecdotally that some IEP chairs, when I was talking about this workshop coming, like, oh yeah, I should go to that myself because it's my job to keep sharing this information with families, but I should learn some more about it myself. So I think they are now
Awesome.
bringing it up as part of the IEP meeting.
Great. I met some Baltimore County Public School families at one of your couple last resource fairs, and they have been telling me, I heard about it at my IEP. I want to come and talk with you. So if your child is having an IFSP meeting, 504 meeting, or IEP, if you don't get information about ABLE, just say, hey, guys, can you give me that resource? Because they'll make that available to you as well, and you can follow up with us for questions.
Okay. Well, we've made it to is ADHD considered a disability is one of the last questions that popped in.
Good question. It depends. It depends on the severity of the ADHD. And that's what it's going to come down to. Is it ADHD that's manageable and there's really no impact on their learning, on their life skills, their executive functioning, like their ability to maintain employment? Some people have a very severe level of ADHD, and they really are going to need a lot of help and support and enable them to live and work independently. So it would really just depend on what that diagnosis is, how severe it is.
Okay, well, again, I'm so grateful that you've shared this information. It's just remarkable the benefits that come with having this Maryland Able account. And I hope that, if you are getting information and you want to share it with a friend that this would apply to as well, please pass it along. Again, I will share the flyer that Kelly's going to give me, as well as the presentation for today. And we're seeing several thank yous in the chat. I also have just a 1 or 2 minute survey that I put in the chat, but I'll attach it to the email as well. We love to hear feedback about our workshops. And at the end of the survey, you can also indicate topics that you'd like to see in future workshops. So again, it's our job here to bring you information either from the community or about special education process. We are so glad that you took some time. Hope that you were able to eat on your lunch hour and just take in all this information. And happy middle of the week. I hope you have a good rest of the week and a good rest of your day. And thank you, everyone.
Thanks. Have a great week.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.